Lovely to see lots of you here this evening. This Wednesday night class has become a little bit exclusive, but it looks like more of you are joining me tonight, which, well, it's lovely either way. So I'm going to just say a few things about this class. So I don't know how many of you have seen the post on Facebook or via the email, but this is a slightly different kind of class to what I have been teaching recently. It's a little bit more technical, and it's definitely an invitation to go deeper into our practice. I chose it for tonight because we've got longer and because there's a certain group of people who'd been coming regularly, and in fact all of you here today have been coming regularly, and that's lovely, just a range of different classes. It's a slightly different tone to the class in that we're going to be looking at some very detailed internal gestures, internal subtle movements, if you like. So it's far less about kind of flinging around the mat, which is what we sometimes do, and I love it as well. I love all different kinds of yoga. But this is a very mindful practice. It's not fast. And there will be quite a lot of instruction. But what I want to try and make sure is clear is that even though there is a technical side to this, and even though I will be instructing quite a lot, it'd be wonderful if you could try and feel what I'm saying with your body and energetically speaking, rather than latch on to ideas with your thinking brain, because that otherwise it's going to just become too technical. And in a way, it doesn't matter if you're new to this concept and practice of bandhas, which is what we're going to be looking at. It doesn't matter if you only just touch the surface tonight. And in fact, you could do the whole practice tonight without the bandhas, and you'd still have a lovely physical flow. So it doesn't matter. There are a few counterindications. So if there will be times that if you wear an IUD, I would suggest that you don't do some of what we're doing. You can do the postures, but just not the internal lift. Likewise, if you suffer from high blood pressure, you might want to just back off a little bit with some of the internal retentions that we're going to be doing. Okay, so if you'd like to come to an easy seat, if you're not there already. Oh yeah, one other thing I was going to say was that I sent out a playlist, or I put it on the website, which you may or may not want to use. Actually, sort of slightly strangely, given that I've just made that playlist, this might not be the best class for it. It's not really that kind of a class where you can get lost in the music and sensation. It's far more of an internal meditative practice. So if you want to try the music, you can, but I think you may find you turn it off. Okay. Oh, and the other thing, sorry. I will stop talking shortly. The other thing that maybe I should have said is that if you've eaten a big meal very recently, this practice, you might find this practice quite challenging, and you might actually not want to do some of what we're doing. However, you wouldn't ever really go to a yoga class having just eaten a full meal, I hope. I think you'll see what I mean when we come to the practice. So if you'd like to come to your easy seat. I'm going to take this class very smoothly, very slow. Got lots of time to feel into the full subtleties of the practice. It's such a beautiful opportunity. So taking time to notice how you're feeling this evening. Taking time to become aware of the base of your body. Connection between the base of your body and the surface beneath you. so that you feel fully stable. And as you draw your attention up the spine, you might want to just very lightly relax and draw back in the side waist. So you're not strutting up super tall. This was something that Debbie Farah showed me, and it's so true. So you can soften in the side waist a little and still find an opening in the chest and the collarbones. And then we're looking for as much length in the back of the neck as possible. So that might even mean that your chin ever so slightly drops, but not in such a way that you're moving your head fully. You're just gently, by a few millimeters, dropping your chin. And then coming to an awareness of the flow of your breath. And I am going to introduce a directed breathing practice in a moment, but for now, just simply feeling the air in your nostrils and the response of your body, where it moves you as you breathe in and as you breathe out. You can use these first moments as you settle to maybe choose a focus, an intention for your practice tonight. Something you might be working on. Maybe to soften. Maybe not to strive. Just a few more moments, tuning into the subtleties of your breath. And we're going to introduce a direction to the breath. If you'd like to bring your attention to the very tip of your skull, not of your spine. So if you can imagine this inside your skull. You're going to visualize the front of your spine as you breathe in, drawing the breath all the way down the front of the spine and feeling a slight softening or spreading in the pelvic floor. And then as you breathe out, the breath will travel back up the spine, but there's a very soft, subtle contraction in the pelvic floor with the breath out. This is all we're going to do for a few breaths. So as you breathe in and your breath comes down the spine, you feel a softening and a spreading of the floor of your pelvis. And as you breathe out, this very gentle contraction, and I cannot overemphasize how important it is not to hold tight when you draw the pelvic floor up. And continue for a few breaths. What we're working with this evening can be felt at both a physical level, so you might feel this very gentle contraction. It's a sense of a lifting up just inside the lower belly up towards the navel. But actually, more importantly, we're working at a very subtle energetic level. So we're working to harness and direct prana. This is life force. Most easily accessed through our sense of the breath. But here with this subtle internal pull, we're working into what's known as the Mula Bandha. This is our root lock. And I'm going to leave you with this subtle breathing practice as I read you out a quote or two, which gives you a little bit more background. These words are from Andre van Lisbeth. We might compare the human being to a plant, which has its roots in the pelvis, or more precisely in the sacrum, from which its long and flexible stem, the spine, rises. At the top, like a flower, is the brain. Mula Bandha is the contraction of the roots of the base. The sacrum constitutes the base of the whole skeleton. So this is the first of the bandhas, the first of the subtle energy locks that we're working with. And the art of the bandha practice is to keep a very gentle contraction all the way through a physical practice, but without tightening. So it almost becomes involuntary, this slight lift, and incidentally it has a wonderful effect on toning the internal organs, and toning the abdominal muscles and massaging the internal organs. I'd like you to let that go now. Just let go of that directed breathing so that your belly softens. And just take a few breaths here. This is a very advanced practice tonight in terms of the technicalities and the subtleties. See if you can feel slightly taller as you breathe in. And see if you can release your shoulders and soften with every breath out. And then in your own time, if you'd like to come and lie on your back with your knees bent, and I'll talk a little bit about the two other bandhas, energy locks, that we're going to be working with. As you come on your back, your feet are about hip distance apart underneath your knees. And I'd like you actually to interlace your hands behind your head and feel as if you're drawing the skin of your skull up towards the crown a little. So you're just drawing out the back of the neck, and then settle the back of your head down. So you have a sense again of your chin ever so slightly moving in towards the chest. So there's a kind of hollowing in the throat. And this gesture is called the Jalandhara Bandha, and it's also understood as a little bit of a net. Just very little engagement as you hollow the throat and draw the chin in a little. And it can bring about a very deep meditative state if practiced in meditation. But see if you just notice the sensation of that now. And we're going to do a lot of movement that will accentuate your experience. So like I said at the beginning of the practice, if some of this feels too complex, too many words, please don't worry. Right now, all that really matters is the length at the back of your neck. And breathe. You can bring about a greater sense of the Jalandhara Bandha by taking the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth. So you have this sense of a slight pull, this pull of a net up into your skull through the throat. Like I say, it's easier to come become more aware of the Jalandhara Bandha in other postures. So we'll come back to that shortly. And then I want you to just bring your attention to your navel. You could even take your fingers to your navel, your belly button. And this is where it will matter if you've eaten a big meal or not. Because the Uddiyana Bandha involves a scooping up from your navel underneath your ribs. So it's a pulling up of the diaphragm. So we're not actually activating it now. I just want you to be aware of it. And the quality of the Uddiyana Bandha is like a hovering hawk. Imagine a falcon. This is absolutely wonderful for massaging your abdominal organs. So this is just, that's all I'm going to tell you right now before we move about the Mula Bandha coming up from the pelvic floor very slightly. The Uddiyana Bandha is the belly button up and under the bottom of the ribs. And then the Jalandhara Bandha, this little bit of a suction and net up through your throat. And now sliding your feet away. So the whole body is extended, and taking a couple of breaths just to feel the body. So this class is going to come across very much like a tutorial, and I know it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I like to mix things up a bit. Anyone who was here last night knows that I didn't even plan the class. And you had to just go with me as I was feeling, and I hope that was all right for those of you who were there. This is the opposite of that. On the next breath in, slowly, really lengthening the breath in, lifting your arms up over your head to the floor behind you. And pause. But now as you breathe out and you bring your arms back, begin to draw your navel down towards the spine, and maybe you're able to feel a slight suction up under the ribs. But more important as you draw down towards the spine. And then you breathe in and you lift your arms and you release the navel, you open the front of the body. And you breathe out, intentionally drawing your navel and your sideways back down towards the floor and the spine. If you find that your chin comes in a little bit, that's fine, Jalandhara Bandha. And we take 3 more in your own time, opening everything up on the inhale. And exhale. So it was Debbie Farrow who came to the River Room and had a very specific way of teaching bandhas, which I'm not going to do other than to reiterate, keep going with your breathing, that it is counterproductive to clench. And these movements, even the navel now moving towards the spine, is a very subtle energetic contraction. Next time your arms are down by your sides, releasing everything, allowing your feet to drop out, palms facing the ceiling, and take a few breaths, just natural breaths. And then bringing your feet together and interlacing your hands over your head, first of all, so your palms are touching your crown. And then flipping your hands around so the backs of your hands are on the top of your head. And pulling your toes towards you. And now inhaling, push your hands away, so really straight arms. And you're pushing through the heels, and pause at the top of the inhalation, really expanding the chest, feeling the back against the floor, the back of the ribs, I mean. And then exhale, keep your arms here, and now draw the navel back towards the spine. A little bit of a suction, that hovering hawk. And we'll take another breath in, staying where we are. Really feeling up into your collarbones, a full expansion of the ribs, a lengthening of the spine. Pause. And then with all this length, breathe out and draw the navel back towards the spine. The side waist is drawing back too. Maybe you feel a little lift up from your pelvic floor, Mula Bandha, without clenching the anus. And take 3 more. Breathing in, expand. Pushing the hands and the heels apart, and breathing out, very subtle contraction from the pelvic floor. Navel towards the spine. Can't remember how many more. Let's take 2 more in your own time. And I'm practicing with you. Try not to clench in the jaw and the eyes. There's a lot of discipline, but you keep soft within that framework. 1 more. And at the end of that exhalation, releasing everything, bringing your arms down by your sides and taking time again to feel the body. Softening completely. Wonderful. And then if you'd like to bend your knees up again so that your feet are on the floor and your palms are down. And we're coming back to that length in the spine, so ever so slightly drawing your chin in. And as you breathe in, lifting your arms up, lifting your pelvis up. So we come into a moving bridge, but really almost counting for 5 or 6 to breathe in, so it's slow. And you pause at the top of the inhalation, and then a long breath out. Allowing your chin to drop in towards your chest, your spine to find the floor. And maybe you experience a little bit of a subtle contraction from the navel, from the pelvic floor. On the inhale, it's all about releasing and breathing in slowly as you lift. And it's on the breath out that you very consciously and mindfully, subtly engage the 3 areas I've been talking about. Very difficult not to clench the anus as you lift up from the pelvic floor. See if you can really relax there. Make it more about a little pull in the lower belly. And taking 3 more in your own time of this moving bridge with the discipline of the bandhas. This is a very ancient practice, bringing these internal subtle energy locks into what could be just a physical flow. I'm on my last one, I think. And then settling and taking a breath or 2 here. Feeling the body. And I'd like you to keep your arms by your sides. You can even press into the palms of your hands. As you take a really slow breath in, see if you can count for 6 or more. As you lift yourself into a bridge with your attention on the heart space. And stay here, breathing out. Feeling now that slight contraction from the pelvic floor, navel underneath the diaphragm, in the throat. And you can pause now for 2 seconds here. And the breath in. Really inflate the chest, feel this attention in the heart space, and pause. And then breathing out. So I'm sorry I said at the beginning, if you use an IUD, you just wouldn't want to really engage the Mula Bandha very much. The other 2 are okay. So for obvious reasons, you wouldn't want to really be drawing up from the pelvic floor too much.
You could have a subtle engagement. And taking one more breath to open out completely. And pause before you exhale and feel those gentle, subtle contractions. Take a breath in and then use the breath out to very gently, bone by bone, release the spine back down to the floor. Taking a moment to feel the body. We're going to do one more version of a bridge. So I want you to breathe in and come all the way up again. And then can you breathe out completely when you're here, but holding the breath out, lower the spine bone by bone down to the mat. And just notice what you feel with the breath out as you move, and then release on the inhale. So it's quite interesting to do postures on the exhale. We're going to do that quite a lot with the breath held out, because you might feel a slightly more of a suction. It's like a little vacuum inside the body. Let's do that again. Breathing in, come all the way up. Exhale completely. And then with the breath held out, slowly lower yourself down. And just notice where you feel that little pull, that little suction. And then release. Inhaling. And I want to do one again, because for me that's quite an accentuated sensation. It'll be great if you could send me feedback after this class. Just because I haven't used Zoom to teach anything which is more like a tutorial, more like a workshop sort of material. So it might not work, and I don't mind if you tell me that. It's really good to know. Let's take one more. Breathe in. Breathe all of the air out when you're here. And then with the breath held out, gently lower everything down. And you can pause just to feel the suction and then let go, inhale. And take a couple of breaths. Absolutely fine if you'd like to bring your knees in towards you and have a little bit of a circle round now. Make sure you circle your knees in both directions. Until you're ready to roll over and come to an all fours position. So I hope you're hanging on in there with me. I feel slightly self-conscious teaching this class, if truth be told, but I hope, I'll just let you find it as you find it. So we're going to take some very typical cat-cow, coming back to child's pose, coming up to downward dog type movements, but with the attention specifically to begin with in the throat, the Jalandhara, and when we come into downward dog, feeling the pelvic floor. So first of all, breathing in and coming into your cow, where you just drop the belly and you open the throat. And then as you breathe out and you scoot the tailbone down, bring your chin to your chest, and then with a little bit of suction, come back to your child's pose, feeling that little net suction in the throat. And we'll do that 3 times. Breathing in and opening the Jalandhara Bandha, the throat. And breathing out, circling up. You can also feel the navel coming up and under the ribs here. And coming down to child's pose. You can pause a moment. And then on the inhale, you open everything. See if you feel all 3 bandhas now on the exhale, up from the pelvic floor, and floating hawk under the ribs. net in the throat. And then breathing in, coming up, releasing everything, curling your toes under. And exactly in the same way, see if you can feel those internal contractions in the downward dog, especially the Mula Bandha from the pelvic floor. Inhale, exhale, drop your knees. We're going to do that 3 more times. Breathing in, opening everything. Breathing out, scooping yourself up into your downward dog and feeling the suction under the ribs from the base of the pelvis. Take a breath in and breathe out, drop your knees. Breathing in, open. Curl your toes under and breathe out, scoop up. Take a breath in and breathe out, knees down. We'll do 1 more. Breathing in, opening your throat. Breathing out, drawing yourself up to your downward dog, and now taking 5 breaths in this downward dog. Every exhalation, feel the subtle contraction of the inner body. Please try and breathe smoothly. This is the skill with the bandhas, and it just takes so much practice to keep that gentle contraction present whilst you breathe smoothly over the top of it. Gives a lot of inner integrity at a symbolic as well as a very physical level. Okay, and then letting that go and looking in between your hands and walking your feet forwards. So you're in a forward fold. And we're just going to quite simply come all the way up. Taking a moment to feel the body. Hope you're all doing okay at home. And then taking your right foot back. So making sure it's just quite a short step. We're going to be coming into Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. Make sure that your pelvis is square with the end of your mat and you're not walking a tightrope. What we're going to do is very simple. On the inhale, bend into that front knee, lift your arms. Maybe take your head back. And on the exhale, straighten again, arms by your sides. And on the inhale, bend in the knee, maybe look up. And on the exhale, draw back. And we do 2 more, feeling the opening on the inhale. And that drawing back into yourself on the exhale. Breathing in. Breathing out. And now breathe in, come forwards and hold onto your elbows if you can and breathe out here. And take a few breaths looking to really lengthen the spine, almost puffing up at the back of the kidneys. Chin can be into your chest a little. So we're not just contracting, we're also opening and strengthening. 1 more breath in. And then as you breathe out, stay in the same posture, hands to your heart. And I'd like you to take 3 breaths where you lift your chest away from the navel. Trying to create as much space as possible in the front of the body, whilst also inflating around the kidneys. Lifting the chest away from the navel. 1 more breath in and a breath out. And then straighten. Step your feet together. Just take a moment to feel the body there. There are no necessarily
strenuous poses today. It's more the discipline that we're bringing to the poses that is the work. So taking your right foot back now and squaring yourself off in the same way for Virabhadrasana 1. And inhaling, bending into that front knee, lifting your arms. Didn't we do that last time? Did we take the right foot back? So I'm so sorry. I've just repeated the same pose. So you, anyway, take the opposite side. And breathe in, bend into the front knee, lift your arms. Maybe take your head back. And breathe out, draw everything back again. We take 3 more. Breathing in. Breathing out. And breathing in. And breathing out. And breathing in. And as you breathe out, take hold of your elbows. Chin a little bit into your chest. As you breathe and you expand in the ribs. You've got an opening in the front of the body, but you're really strong in the back leg. You're looking to lengthen the spine. Really puffing out at the kidney area. One more breath in. And then keeping your spine and your lower body in the same position, bring your hands to your chest. And we take 3 breaths. We're really trying to separate, pull apart the ribs from the hips. Creating all of this space, beautiful spaciousness. One more breath in. And then breathe out, straighten. Step your feet together. And take a moment to feel the body. And if you'd like to come to facing the long end of your mat and either jump or step your feet really quite far apart now, further apart, with your heels pointing out and your toes pointing in. And take a breath in, and we found all that length and that space in the side body and the ribs. And then as you breathe out, we're going to come down into Prasarita Padottanasana. Taking your hands down the legs, and it may be you can hold on to your big toes, or it may be you hold on to the shins, it doesn't matter. And we can do a little bit of exploring now in this forward fold. As you inhale, I just want you to bend in towards the right knee. But then as you straighten on the exhale, feel the navel moving back towards the spine and the lift up from the pelvic floor, chin to the chest. And then release and inhale and bend into the left knee. You can even lift the chest up for this a little bit. And then exhale with that subtle contraction, straighten and draw the front body into the back body. And then inhale, bend into the right knee. Maybe lift the chest. And exhale. And inhale, lift the chest as you bend into the left knee. And exhale. Navel to the spine, that gentle contraction from the pelvic floor. We'll do 2 more on each side. Inhale, bend to the right, lift the chest. Exhale. And you can really scoop that navel up and under the ribs here. Uddiyana Bandha, the floating hawk. Inhale, bend into the left knee. Exhale, straighten again. 1 more. So we're also having a lovely forward fold, stretching the back here. Inhale to the right. Exhale, straighten and draw yourself through. Inhale to the left. Exhale, straighten.
And then inhaling, walking your hands out in front of you, so your hands are underneath your shoulders, nice long spine. And then exhale, hands to your hips. You can soften in the knees. And then inhale, come all the way up. And take a moment to feel the body. And then with your feet still wide apart, take your right foot to point to the end of the mat. Maybe even take them further apart. I'm going to. And take your arms out. And inhale. And on the exhale, bend into the front knee. And you can either bring the right elbow to the knee or the hand inside the foot. And then inhale here. Now I'm just going to rely on you with a subtle engagement with the bandhas here without me saying more. Exhale, arm over your head. So you become more aware on the exhale usually. Inhale, lift the arm. You can look up at it with your hand. And exhale, arm over your head. Inhale, lift the arm. And exhale, arm over your head. And now we stay. Now we stay. Trying to find as much length. And really noticing if you're able to gently draw up from the pelvic floor, navel towards the spine and up under the ribs, chin very lightly into your chest. But breathe very hard. Keep very soft in your face, even smile. And see if you can become aware of the energetic pull up the inside of your body. One more inhale. Exhale, look down at the front foot. Bring your left hand to your hip. And we're going to very gently lift up, feet parallel. So I think that's quite hard. It's a long time to be holding that there. It's very different from a vinyasa flow class. Take the left foot to point to the left. The right foot comes in. Lift your arms out. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, either elbow comes down or hand to the floor and lift your arm up. And we move first of all, really strong in the back leg. Take a breath in and then exhale, reach your arm over your ear. And then take a breath in. You can even spin the chest a bit more here. And exhale, arm over your ear, smile. And then breathing in again. And then we come to hold. So this is when the work really begins, at least the subtle work. So your breathing remains full and steady, but simultaneously those gentle contractions. Now, if this is all new to you, I know I've said this already, but I'm going to say it again. Don't worry, this pose just without the bandhas is fantastic. Side angle pose, Parsvakonasana. One more breath in. Look down as you breathe out to the front foot. Bring your right hand to your hip and gently push yourself up. Inhale. And exhale, bring your feet together. Take a moment to feel the body now. You might even want to close your eyes. Feel the stability through your feet. Because we're working a lot with the energy body, we always do in yoga, but this is more explicitly so. If it's new to you, it'd be normal to feel a little bit churned up. Even if it's not new to you, it's normal to feel quite churned up. So it's really important to keep coming back and noticing the breath, to feel the body, to stay very, very present. Okay, so we're going to come into a little bit more forward folding. Your feet so they're hip distance apart. And then interlace your hands again, top of your head. And inhale, stretch up. So we did this on our backs. And exhale here, really pushing into your feet as you lift your hands up. So you know what's coming in terms of the engagement. Inhale. And then exhale, come down halfway. Take another breath in where you find length. And now exhale and come all the way down. And this is great for the Uddiyana Bandha. Can you feel that suction up and underneath your ribs? Chin into your chest. And take a couple of breaths here. And then pressing into your feet. Inhale, can you come all the way up? Exhale, arms down by your sides. Wonderful. I'm going to do that again. You can see why having a big meal might not be a good idea before this practice. Interlacing your hands and inhaling, pushing up as you root down through your heels, tilting the pelvis back ever so slightly. Take another breath in and find more length. And then exhale, come down halfway, finding as much length as you can. Your legs are strong. Take another breath in. And then find that vacuum, that suction as you breathe out and you come all the way down. And don't hold your breath here. Take a couple of breaths when you're down. And then pressing into your feet. Full breath in to come up. And breathe out, arms down by your sides. So actually the bandhas, if you're using them properly, will probably bring you into a deeper forward fold than you might normally experience. So I find it transformative, I really do. Let's take one more. Inhaling and exhaling here. Tilting the pelvis back, and take another inhale and then come down halfway, exhale. Inhale here to find length and then exhale, come down and take a couple of breaths. And then pressing through your feet. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, arms by your sides. And before we come to the next version of that, take a moment to feel the body. Most importantly, are you tense in your face and your shoulders, or can you really soften the belly, soften the diaphragm? Hope you're feeling good. We'll have a kind of rip-roaring vinyasa flow on Saturday morning just to celebrate and let go. Such a different way of teaching, such a different way of practicing. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to, and this is where if you have high blood pressure or an IUD, you really, really don't want to practice what we're doing, just come into forward fold. Because we're going to hold the breath out before we come down, and we're going to come down with the breath held out. So it's quite a strong suction, strong vacuum. So inhale, exhale completely, hold the breath out and come down. And when you need to breathe in, come all the way up. Breathe out normally. So this might make you feel a little bit dizzy. Please don't tolerate too much of that. Just stop practicing this part if it does. Inhale. Exhale completely. And with the breath held out, draw yourself down and notice what happens. Keep holding it out until you need to breathe in. And then you come all the way up and you breathe out. We'll take one more, just one more. Take a breath in. Lovely length and space, full breath out. And with the breath held out, coming all the way down. And this time when you need to breathe in, simply coming into half forward fold, you just lift your chest. And step back to a downward dog, breathe out. Take a breath in. And then breathe out, drop your knees. Take them apart and come back to sit in a child's pose, just for a little rest before we continue. So you can assimilate, resting your head on your hands. Letting go of everything, forgetting all the discipline. Noticing what's going on for you, maybe recalling your intention. Very, very, very soft inside the mouth, behind the eyes, the jaws slightly unhinged. And then if you'd like to join me again in all fours, we're going to come back to the cat, cow, child a few times, and then we're going to do it slightly differently. So make this really soft now. Breathe in and feel that dipping of the spine, the opening of your throat. And breathe out, scoop up and sit back with the scoop up. And then breathe in to all fours, open your throat. Curl your toes under and breathe out, downward dog. Take a breath in and then breathe out, drop your knees. Breathing in, dip the spine, open the throat. Breathe out, scoop up and back to child. Breathing into all fours and dip the spine, open the throat. Curl your toes under and breathe out, downward dog. Take a breath in your downward dog and then breathe out, drop your knees. So what we're going to do is exactly what we did with the forward fold, is we're going to breathe everything out. So we're going to inhale as normal, breathe everything out as we scoop up. Don't come back to child's pose, but with the breath out, hold it out and come back to your downward dog. Just like you did with the forward fold, and it's a unique experience of downward dog to do it like this. And then when you need to breathe in and drop your knees. So we'll do that 3 or 4 times. Breathing in, opening everything. Breathing out, scoop. Keep the breath out. With the breath held out, come to a downward dog. And hold it there. Until you need to inhale, drop your knees. And exhale. So that is, I think that's an extreme thing to do. I don't know if you felt like a vacuum of pulling up from your navel all the way up the center of your abdomen under the ribs. It really is a strong sense of suction. That for me is the most explicit and strongest sense of what the bandhas feel like, from the floor of the pelvis all the way up to the throat. We'll do it a couple more times. If it's really horrible for you, just take a vinyasa, just come into downward dog. It doesn't matter. But if you would like to join me, breathing in. Breathing out, hold the breath out, and with the breath held out, draw yourself into your downward dog and hold it there for as long as feels comfortable without you exploding or passing out. And then you inhale. So it's very difficult to talk and do this. I don't know why I'm even trying. Let's take another one. Inhale, exhale. Keep the breath held out and then come to your downward dog. And then coming down to your knees. And sliding onto your belly, which should feel really nice now. And taking your hands underneath your forehead and having a rest and breathing into the front of the body. Breathing into the front of the body. We've done quite a lot of forward folding. We're going to bring some back bending back in now. So hands are on your forehead. As you breathe in, lift your arms up as you lift your chest up. Don't worry about the bandhas, and breathe out, come back down. Hands underneath the forehead. As you breathe in, lift everything. And breathe out. So we're strengthening our back muscles. And breathe in. And breathe out. And we'll do one more. Breathing in, lift and energize through your fingers and your toes. And then exhale, come down to rest. And we're going to work in Dhanurasana, which is bow pose. Not everybody will be able to hold onto the feet. You could do this bending up your knees and just reaching your arms. But if you're able to hold your feet, please do. Put your forehead down for now and try and bring your feet and your knees to the very close together. We're going to work on a very expansive bow. So take a breath in and lift into whatever's available for you here in terms of a bow. Nice long breath in. And then breathe out, drop. And then breathe in, come up. And breathe out, stay here. And then with the breath in, can you lift a little bit more into this pose? Keep drawing your knees in. And with the breath out, can you feel that slight lift of the chest? Take another breath in. And another breath out. And another breath in. And then release everything down to the mat. And lie with your head on one side. Palms are facing up, arms down by your side. And feel the body, feel the energy. And we'll do one more like that. So reaching for your feet or just bending your legs. We're coming up on the inhale. And staying here, exhale, even drawing up a bit more on the exhale. Breathe in. Every breath in and every exhale is more of an expansion. It's intense. One more breath in. One more breath out. Breathing in. And then come down and rest the other side of the cheek down. The other side of the head, I mean. And soften completely in the shoulders. Breathing through the front of your body. And very gently bringing yourself onto your back. With your arms down by your sides. Knees are bent. Take a moment now to feel the body. How's the quality of your breath? You come back to that sense of a really lovely long spine. You draw your chin in ever so delicately. On the breath in, you're going to lift your arms over your head to the floor behind you as you straighten your legs up. And then breathing out, bend your shins to be parallel with the floor and your arms down to the floor. And notice, maybe even with this subtle movement, the bandhas. Inhale and lift. And exhale. Can you feel a gentle contraction from the pelvic floor, navel under the ribs, neck in the throat? And breathe in. And breathe out. So it's quite disciplining. Draw the front of the body into the back on the exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. Really drawing the side waist, the navel back. Let's do one more. Breathe in. Feels so good to breathe in. It's the discipline comes with the exhale. And now breathe in and see if you can either hold your toes, exhale here. So we're going to hold in this Padangustasana, Supta Padangustasana. It may be that you need to hold lower down the legs. So we don't want to lift the shoulders off the floor. We want the neck long. And then whichever version you're in of this, pushing the heels up towards the ceiling. And take 5 deep breaths, and every exhale, explore that inner landscape, that inner gentle, subtle contraction. Please don't be tempted to grip. And if you're not feeling any of this, like I said, even what we're doing without any of the Bandha work is absolutely fantastic for the whole body. We're moving in all planes. Opening the back of the legs, lengthening the spine, working the core. It's all good at a purely physical level. One more breath in. And then breathe out, bend your knees into your chest and take your arms out in a T shape. Your palms could be facing up or down, it doesn't matter. And we're going to take some very simple spinal twists here. So take a breath in. And as you breathe out, knees come towards the left, your eyes come towards the right. And then breathing in, come all the way back. And breathe out, knees drop towards the right, eyes towards the left. And then breathing in, come all the way back. Breathing out, knees towards the left, eyes towards the right. And then breathe in, come to the top. Breathe out, knees to the right, eyes to the left. And we're going to take our final twist now, and we're going to stay for a few breaths. So breathe into the top. And then as you breathe out, drop your knees to the floor on the left and take your left hand on the right knee, if that's fine for you. Look over your right hand and maybe stretch your right arm up by your ear. And really release the shoulder and the shoulder blade down towards the floor. And we're not working the bandhas here. We're softening and opening the body. So breathe a few breaths and melt. Particularly softening into the hips, the inner thighs, the belly and the right shoulder. Nowhere to go. Very simple. Spinal twist on the back. And now bring your head back to neutral and lift your right knee followed by the left. Take a breath in and come over the other side. So your knees drop to the right. You can bring your right hand down on the left knee. Really soft though, no muscular engagement here at all. And if your shoulder allows it, float your left arm up past the left ear as you look past your armpit. And now soften into that left shoulder. Soften in the face, the inner thighs, the belly. And melt a little. Let go. Let go. Beautiful. And then gently coming back, bringing your knees in for a little bit of a roll around, staying on your back though. Taking a breath in and then dropping your feet down, knees are bent, soles of your feet are on the floor. Feel the body. And bringing your feet together so your ankles meet. And on an inhale, lift your arms as you float your knees out to the sides, soles of your feet together. And as you exhale, bring your knees together, arms back together by your sides. We'll do that again. Breathing in, open your knees, arms up over your head. And breathing out. Soles of your feet on the floor, arms by your sides. Breathing in, open. This time stay open, breathe out. And inhaling, bringing your arms back again so that they're inside the thighs. And if you're able to, holding on to your ankles so you can draw your heels right in towards the groin here. Using your forearms to press lightly on your inner thighs so you have a nice opening here. Really press the heels of your feet together. And take a few breaths. We're opening into the hips and the groin for our final sequence. Try not to clench in the face. Try and soften. One more breath in. And then breathe out. Release your feet, release your hands. And then gently bring your knees together and roll yourself over to one side to come up to sitting. So anyone who read the blurb tonight will know that we've been working towards this wonderful thing called Maha Mudra, otherwise known as the great gesture. And it should bring together absolutely everything we've been doing. We prepared the body physically, but we're going to use the bandhas and the breath to experience this great gesture, which I just love. I really, really love it, and I hope you do too. But we're going to start off with Janu Shirshasana. So Janu Shirshasana, you're going to have your left leg extended and your right foot coming right into the thigh, into the groin if you can. If you need to, you're going to bend up that left knee. If you're slumping, you can also sit yourself up on something. If your leg is straight, I want you to really engage the leg by pulling the toes towards you. And then turn your torso around to face over the leg. So this is not a Janu Shirshasana where your legs are as far apart as possible. Your left leg is actually coming straight out of the hip here. And then breathe in, find that length. Brighten up the chest and breathe out. Come down. And we're going to pulse it. Breathe in, lift. And breathe out, come down. And then breathe in, lift one more time, finding length. And then come down, maybe reach for your foot, maybe not. And take a couple of breaths here, head to knee. So this is a little bit different from Maha Mudra, and you'll see why in a moment. We are completely flexing the spine here, we're curling it forwards. Chin is into the chest maybe. And we're just softening the whole of the back, the shoulders. There's lots of ways of doing Janu Shirshasana, but right now we're being quite soft and floppy. We're not using the bandhas. Just releasing into the hips, finding a length in the back and the leg. Okay, and then inhale, gently lift the chest and draw yourself out of the pose. So Maha Mudra, shall we have a go? I'd like you to interlace your hands and lift up again, a bit like you did when you were standing, and you're bringing your toes towards you. Take an inhale and find length. Don't worry about your bandhas yet, we'll come to that. And then exhale, reach, reach, reach as far forwards as you can come, maybe holding onto your foot, maybe not. And chin is into your chest to begin with, so it's like Janu Shirshasana. But now, wherever your hands are, straighten your arms and lift your chest. So you can use, this is quite different. So it's a forward fold of the bottom of the spine, but we're looking to extend from the thoracic up, so from the bra strap up, lovely open chest. Now keep breathing here and finding length in the spine and opening in the chest. And then we're going to come to the Maha Mudra. This might be enough for you, but if you want to add the bandhas, take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, draw your chin in slightly so you've got length at the back of the neck. Lift up from the pelvic floor. Scoop your navel to the spine and under your ribs. But then don't hold the breath. Keep breathing steadily. And your gaze will be just past your toes. So we've got a very gentle retention all the way through the inner landscape, whilst a lovely long spine and very spacious in the ribs. One more breath in. And then breathe out, release, and just bring yourself back up. So some of you will have really loved that. You might have found that kind of inner silence and space, and some of you will have found that not such a great deal. We're going to try again before we take it to the other side. And I'm going to leave you quietly because you now know what to do. I just want you to experience it in silence. So breathing in. Breathing out, reaching and coming as far down as works for you. And then when you inhale, lifting the chest, straight arms. Exhale, engage the bandhas if you're going to. And then come to quiet, breathing naturally with that gentle retention of the bandhas. Stay breathing, don't hold the breath. There is a version of this where you hold the breath, but we won't do that for tonight. So you're really looking to push between the shoulder blades to really open the chest whilst keeping your chin lightly locked in. Breathe, keeping very soft in the face. One more breath in and a long breath out. Well done. And gently coming out. And taking a moment to feel the body before you come to the other side. Notice the quality of the natural breath. And then we'll take the right leg forwards, bring the left foot in. Remember, we're starting with Janu Shirshasana. If you need to bend the knee up in order to come forwards, that's fine. And take a breath in. Lovely, and lifting and opening the chest, and then breathe out, pulse down. Remember, we pulse 3 times before we come to stay. Breathe in, lift, and lengthen, and breathe out, come down. And then breathe in, lift. And this time breathe out, come down as far as you like in this very soft Janu Shirshasana. There are versions where you'd be looking beyond your toes, but right now you're curling down. You're curling the spine. Whether or not you're right down on the leg, it doesn't matter. The idea is to curl in and breathe and to soften here. Try and let go of the thoughts. Just really feel the practice. Taking a full breath in and then out. And gently coming out of your Janushirasana to take Maha Mudra, the great seal, the great posture, the great mudra on the right. So breathing in, lifting up to find length. And then reach, reach, reach on the breath out. Maybe holding onto your foot, maybe not. So chin is in, you're just flopping down towards the leg first. And then when you're ready to breathe in again, lift the chest, straighten the arms. You're pulling on the foot. And on the breath out, come to engage the bandhas in the way that you've been doing. Try not to engage to tense up the anus. It's so hard, I know. It's not that part of the body though. And then come to a very soft, smooth, steady breath. And you're really pushing through the heel if your leg's straight. Really almost pushing in between the shoulder blades to open the chest and then bringing the chin in. Soften the eyes and the jaw. Very spacious in the ribs. Feel the side ribs. One more inhale and an exhale, release. And gently come out before we take another one. Notice how you're feeling, notice the breath. And then breathe in, lift up. And breathe out, come all the way down. And straightening your arms, lifting your chest on the inhale. And on the exhale, engage the bandhas, really long in the back of the neck. Very spacious in the ribs, that scoop up under the ribs. Gentle lift from the pelvic floor. And then breathe, I'll leave you quiet. It's a very strong, it's a very, very powerful practice. This is one of the most powerful practices you can do. One more inhale. And then exhale, release. So if you come into doing a lot of Maha Mudra, you would stay in a meditation in that position for much longer than we have done now, but I think that's enough for now. And then taking both legs out, you might like to have a little bit of a rub of your knees. And we'll come to Bandha Konasana. And again, you might like to sit up on something, on a block or a blanket. I'm going to bring the heels, the feet together right in as close to the groin as is viable for you, where you don't just fall back. And then take your hands behind you and lift yourself up. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, come down a little bit in front of your sitting bones if you can. And then hold onto your feet. And then we're looking to have straight arms. Want to really press the sitting bones down. Press the heels of the feet together. And then breathe right up into your collarbones. And soften the face. Let's take a few deep breaths here. We're coming to the end of the practice. You know that Will is going to lead a Yoga Nidra practice from 9 to 9:30, which would be really the most delicious thing to do after this kind of a practice. But for now, breathe that length and space right up to your collarbones, right up to the top of your skull. Finding space where the kidneys are, almost breathing space around the kidneys. One more breath in, and then breathe out, soften. And just for a moment, coming to lie on your back. And taking your legs up into the air. So it's a little bit strange what we're going to do. It's going to sound a bit strange. This is just a couple of counter poses to make sure that the pelvis and the legs are all intact. I want you to take the palms of your hands inside your thighs, and you're pulling your toes towards you, pushing through the heels. And just for a few breaths, try and push your legs apart with your hands, but your legs aren't going to let you. So you're pulling the legs against the hands as you push them. Try not to clench in the jaw. I know it's really difficult. Just a few breaths. This is really great for integrity, physical integrity of the pelvis, the whole of the body. One more inhale. And then exhale, soften. And we're going to do the same thing with the hands on the outside of the legs. So you're going to push your legs into your hands as you push your hands into your legs. This is easier, I find. And can you feel what it's doing? Can you feel your sacrum? Can you feel the strength of your legs? Keep pushing, keep breathing. One more breath in. And then soften. Have a little bit of a roll around on your lower back. Making sure that you roll around in both directions. And then we come up again to just a very, very simple Paschimottanasana, simple forward fold now. I'm just going to do a couple of very simple poses to come to the end of the physical practice. So breathing in, lifting your arms up. You can bend your knees if you need to. And breathing out, calming down. Now letting go of the bandhas, let go of all that discipline and simply take lovely, long, soothing breaths as you melt a little bit more into the back of your legs. You have a nice warm stretch for the back of the body. Releasing in the jaw. Maybe extending your exhalations a little bit. Three more breaths. And very, very gently coming up. I'd like to take a little bit of a pranayama breathing practice to finish off with. So if you need to wrap up, I'm going to put my jumper on. And coming to a seat of your choice. You have a chance after the breathing practice to come to lie down. We've only got time for a few minutes, and we'll take alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana, which is always the best to do when you haven't got time to do lots of different elaborate breathing. First of all, if you'd like to close your eyes and come back to tuning in down through the base of the body and softening around the side waist, melting the shoulders. And notice how you feel. Notice the stream now of a natural breath with no discipline. Feeling the stream of air in your nostrils. And sensation of air on your skin. And then lifting up your right hand, taking the tip of the forefinger and the middle finger to the base of the thumb. And taking a full breath in through both nostrils. And closing your right nostril and breathing out smooth and steady through the left.
And then breathing in smooth and steady through the left. Closing your left nostril with the little finger and the fourth finger and breathing out through the right. And then you breathe in through the right. Close the right, you breathe out through the left. And you're going to continue like this. You change nostrils at the top of the inhalation. And can you try and soften your diaphragm now as much as you can? Noticing it gently moving down on your abdominal organs as you inhale, and it floats up as you exhale. Completely absorbed by the sensation of air in your nostrils. And if you know that you love this breathing practice and you're not going to be coming to the Yoga Nidra, you could continue and just turn off your Zoom. But can you make sure that at the end of maybe 2 or 3 more minutes of the alternate nostril breathing practice, that you end your practice with 5 to 10 minutes completely flat on your back to fully absorb the benefits of this practice? Just going to stay for 2 more minutes, taking alternate nostril breathing. Very subtle, very intimate, beautiful breath. This is the most balancing breath after an intense practice. Next time you breathe out through your left nostril, if you're still practicing alternate nostril breathing, let that go. And take a couple of breaths, noticing the simple flow of breath through both nostrils before you come to lying flat. And I'm going to move off the mat to let Will get ready for Yoga Nidra. And just to say thank you so much for bearing with me with a pretty intense practice. Please, please email me. It really helps me to know how that was for you. It's a practice dear to my heart, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's dear to all of your hearts. I hope you have a really beautiful evening and rest of your week. For anyone who's wondering, there is yin yoga on Friday at 6 o'clock.